how much would that have made you in additional revenue?
Somewhere between 20 and 30K in additional revenue. And those, yeah,
So it's
those were
costing
working
you
well.
about $30,000 a month. It's costing you about $1,000 a day. I think that's probably more expensive than any other problem you're dealing with in your business right now. I've never released this publicly before, but this is an inside look of my one-to-one B2B marketing coaching. I have weekly calls like this all the time with 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners that just ask me questions specifically about social media marketing. Here's a little taste of what that looks like. If you would like more material like this, I actually have a whole bunch like it completely for free in the link down below in my free school group. And then if you want to be a part of this next week, we run these every single week. You can also apply to work with us down below if you have a big business that qualifies. Howdy, everyone. Usually how we start these out is just open Q&A. Here for you guys, whatever you need, drop it in the chat section. Looks like Johan's the first one to it. So the goal is to build consistency with your content. You're posting 1 reel per day and sharing stories daily. That's amazing, by the way. That's really great. The goal is to turn that consistency into results. So more realtor leads and sales for DOA Media while strengthening my personal brand as a builder and leader in the space. The problem, as you explain it here, is even though I'm consistent, my content isn't structured as a full marketing funnel. It builds awareness, but doesn't always move viewers towards taking action and becoming clients. Okay, I see where you're going with this. I feel like I'm missing the system that connects daily reels to engagement, to DMs, to book shoots. And your proposed solution is how can I refine the content strategy and funnel so that each piece of content serves a clear stage, awareness, authority, conversion, to where the right type of realtor consistently moves from follower to DM to client, and you can track metrics that prove your content is directly driving revenue. So let's start with the track metrics that your content is directly driving revenue for DOA Media. I would ask, how else are you driving revenue for DOA Media? And can you separate revenue that comes from organic social media or revenue that comes from that other traffic source? For example, like some of our clients, they run paid ads. And being able to track the revenue that comes from paid ads versus organic social media is very important to them. We do that with first touch, last touch attribution software, something like Triple Whale, something like Hyros, or even just like link attribution tools. So using something like a link tree to be able to show that someone clicked here and then they went to my program and then they purchased it through there, or bit.ly, bit.ly to track conversion. It doesn't have to be anything complex, just very simple. But to start, do you have 2 different forms of traffic that are leading you to clients, or is it all just social media?
I'm going to tell you this, man. Like, I have my lead database, right? They are all on an Instagram. And what I'm finding is now that I am posting more, I'm converting more leads out of that database from my cold outreach. Okay. And I can attribute that to the content. I don't know. I also have, like, now I'm doing more group presentations with group of realtors. And every time I do that, man, it's like 5 of those leads. It could be like 1 lose, or maybe, you know what I mean, right? Like, so I'm converting more now that I am doing more marketing on not just the outreach. My next step is what I'm trying to figure out. Like, now I have my machine, is basic machine, but I'm posting every day, finally. What can I do now to move towards the next step? I have no metrics. I have no dashboard. I don't follow anything social media related. And my writing is very, based on my ChatGPT conversations and my topics.
Sure. The way that I would think about it is like you're writing a book or you're writing a story. You're developing something that's complex and deep. And at the start, just making some kind of progress every single day will move you closer to the end goal of having a complete story. But I would think about what parts of your story are underdeveloped. Is it your top of funnel that's underdeveloped? Is it your middle of funnel that's underdeveloped? Is it your bottom of funnel that's underdeveloped? And if you're thinking about the story, analogy, is it the beginning of your story? Is it your character development? Or is it this really cool conclusion that you've waited, basically the entire story to tell that feels underdeveloped or weak? And then once you understand what parts of your funnel, what parts of your story, what parts of your brand are underdeveloped, try to create more content there. And I'll give a specific example. Right now, for me, I feel like my middle of funnel content and my bottom of funnel content is underdeveloped. I do get great views. I have, good traction on especially my long form YouTube stuff right now relative to the numbers that I've gotten before, but I need to go deeper with my audience. I need to provide even more value with the videos that I'm doing. So I'm really focused on creating only content that serves that one goal, that serves the goal of developing that part of my communication with my audience. And while I could do better at all of it, I think it's kind of a distraction to say that because everyone could do better at all of it. I think you should choose goals and then have that daily progress always move you towards that specific goal. So for you specifically, I think you've had great success with middle of funnel content, and I would love to see you just kind of continue developing there. Sure, I think you could do better on bottom. Sure, I think you could do better on top. I think where you're getting stuck is like you think you could do better on all of it, which I agree with, and that's going to be the case for everyone. But if you can just find one to pick, I think that you'll have a much easier time making daily progress on that and feeling like you're actually making some real accomplishments day to day and week to week with that. And if you're already recognizing, some revenue come from organic social media just through what you're doing right now, I think you're on the right track. I think you kind of like you've mentioned before, have to not overthink it too much and just kind of continue to make that progress with one specific thing.
Can I ask you one last just to wrap it up?
Yeah.
So if I get to pick middle of funnel, right now I'm structured in 3 pillars, which is leadership, build and scale, like what I'm doing to build and scale, and what is the other one? And behind the scenes, like my journey, right? Like those are my 3 pillars, and I'm playing with that. If I get to choose one for middle funnel, which one would you tell me like to focus on? Human aspect, leadership, systems, building scale, or behind the scenes kind of thing?
No matter what, I wouldn't be the one that makes the decision, and I wouldn't have you be the one that makes the decision either. I would make sure that your audience gets to kind of inform that decision. So which type of video has either the highest reach, or which type of video has the highest engagement, or look at the quality of comments that you get on those videos. That's actually something that I'm paying a lot of attention to right now. Is I don't care how many views my content gets. I don't care how many likes the content gets. And I don't even care about the comments. I care about the quality of the comments. One of my more recent videos had multiple comments that were like several paragraphs long from individuals. It was a very in-depth response to the idea that I had in the video. And despite that video being one of the worst performers out of my last dozen videos, that is more of the type of video that I'd want to make, because the depth of response, the depth of engagement that I got from my audience was a lot better. Whereas if I make a shallow video and it gets the most views I've ever gotten in 24 hours, it's less of an accomplishment if I don't see any kind of response or engagement from my audience. So I wouldn't say that like you are going to know the answer. I think your audience absolutely will. And I would look for some kind of way to base your opinion off of the feedback you're getting from your audience. I hope that helps. If I can give another bit of guidance, I think the stuff about you that's going to resonate the most with your audience is stuff that's applicable to them. So not just, hey, look at me, I'm so cool, here's what I accomplished, but here's how I was able to accomplish this thing. I hope it serves you to also accomplish, what I was able to do. And that really falls well in line with your idea of like being able to mentor people. So what kind of advice would you give, someone that you're mentoring right now?
Yeah. When I mean personal stuff is like me, Johan, I quit my job, right? I quit my corporate job doing this. That's what like gets more engagement.
I like that.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Corson, really struggling to make better top of funnel content. I feel like I'm 1 or 2 plus views from finally hitting 50,000 a month. Okay. Interesting perspective. My sales process works and I'm just not getting those big views. It might help if you give more context by talking through it with you. Please do. Yeah. Give me any context you can.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm in an odd stage where I'm seeing kind of a good amount of sales come through. Like the quality of the people that are coming through the funnel are great. The sales process works very well. The issue I have is that I'm just not having the volume of leads where I can compare it to like my partner Xander, who his leads are like, I see how many people he has coming through at the top end. And so I compare it, and we're making, maybe right now I think he's making probably 40% more than me, but I'm also doing that with probably 25% of the lead flow. And so what I noticed with the old account before it got shut down was that there was kind of this massive flow of people coming in, and everything I put out just kind of had this momentum that I could see where it would be, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200K views, like almost every video was doing like pretty well. Now I'm kind of seeing this very odd position of my bottom end videos are doing 3 to 6 or 7,000. Every once in a while I get like maybe 20,000, but there's not this kind of like bump that I saw before where all of a sudden it just started to pick up. And then there was this stability of people coming into the DMs, people filling out applications. And I don't really have any predictability right now with that. So I feel like it's kind of this, I have like this drip of leads come in at the end of the day, and I'm trying to, basically just like make it work. And I make good sales off it, but it's not what's going to push me to that, from 30 to, like 50K a month and beyond kind of thing. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Sure. Whenever I'm dealing with someone who's like obviously very experienced in business, they have a track record for converting clients, and they have chops for making content, which you definitely do. Like, congratulations. I love the stuff that you've had recently, and then just your growth in revenue over the last year has been really impressive to see. It gives me like an incredible amount of confidence in having them be a candidate for paid ads, because you can artificially increase your view counts overnight with paid ads. You can tell Meta how many views to get you. And I think it's really risky for most people. It's not the guidance that I give to just anyone. I really need to see some revenue. I need to see some consistent sales process. I need to see your pricing dialed in. I need to see your offer solid. But because you have that, I'm just like kind of shocked as to why you're not pushing harder on paid ads, because it sounds like everything that you want is just on the other end of predictable, consistent lead volume, which is what paid ads is for. You literally just pay money to get customers, like a real business, which you can afford to do. You don't have to kind of hope that your, stroke of genius hits that day and you've got a great top of funnel video that gets you more views. You can force it on Facebook. And because you have confidence of conversions on the back end, you can also force money out of it.
I 100% agree, and you have 100% sold me on that. Unfortunately, my ads account got hacked, and that happened about, I think it was 6 weeks ago, something like that, after you like kind of ripped apart all my stupid beliefs I had around why don't I just run ads. So I was like, okay, I was doing it. It was bringing in 5 to 15 quality forms a day, which is compared to like 1 form a day. So it was giving me a massive bump in everything. And then somebody hacked it and they tried to run like 10K through the account. They shut it down, and now I'm in the process of trying to get it back. I've gotten in contact with people who have connections in Meta trying to sort that out. So that's why I guess like the ads thing is, I totally agree, and you're right, and I'm going to keep doing that. And I guess I'm trying to find like an additional thing that I can do in the meantime while I solve that, to try to get the organic to work better, just because it's like I know I can make ads work. I also believe that organic, I'm at that level where I know there's just other humans that can get like a ton of attention on things. I know I can do it, but I just feel like there's something about what I'm doing that's not, there's like a skill deficiency in terms of top of funnel that I'm missing.
Sure. I think you'll appreciate this because this is a sports analogy, but like what would you say to a hockey player that came to you that was like one of the best shooters in the nation? Like, you put them anywhere on the rink and you say, get this puck into the net, the goal. I don't even know what it's called because I don't know sports. And they could just do it 99 times out of 100. Like, no matter what the circumstances are, they could get the puck into the goal, but they can like hardly stand upright on their skates. Would you drill them on like shooting, or would you drill them on skating drills? Like, you're so good at content, Corson. I feel like you're trying to squeeze the juice out of something that you've been ringing for like the last several years. You're already great at it. I think it's time that you like really tackle something that you're not good at yet. It's going to be a little more challenging, but like, how much were those leads worth to you that you had coming in for like a week or whatever it was when your ad account was up? You were getting 1 per day, right? How much would that have made you in additional revenue?
I would predict that that was going to get me to, well, it would have solved the 50K goal for sure, which probably would have put me at somewhere between 20 and 30K in additional revenue from the ads.
Okay.
And those, yeah,
So it's
those were
costing
working
you
well.
about $30,000 a month not having another Facebook ad account. It's costing you about $1,000 a day to not set up a Facebook ad account. And you can set up another one like that tomorrow. Just start a new one. Like forget your old one. Yes, it got hacked, whatever. Let's do maybe dual authentication on this next one. Let's have it send a code to your phone every single time you want to log in. It's a little annoying, but like not having another Facebook ad account is costing you $1,000 a day. That's really expensive. I think that's probably more expensive than any other problem you're dealing with in your business right now. And I just see it as such a big issue that like it doesn't matter how good you are at content. You are so good. Like I know I stopped giving you content advice a long time ago because you know your audience and you know how to make content better for them than I do. I don't think you're going to get much out of me in terms of content.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a big opportunity for you in ads because you haven't explored that really thoroughly yet.
Okay. I see what you're saying. It's reframing the problem as it's a bigger problem not having that account than just, sit and wait. It's more so figure out how to set something else up because I am missing out on a ton there.
Yeah. If you were forced to double your business next month, I don't think you could do it through organic content alone. It's not a diss on organic content. I think the reason you're so successful is because you've set that up so well. And the reason you're going to be successful to ads is because you figured out organic content for yourself. It's such a valuable asset to your business. I'm not dismissing it. I just mean if you had to double your business next month, I think it's going to come from paid ads.
Okay. Got it.
Cool. Next up is RJ. So the goal is to get some build up on a higher ticket item. We're building out a done for you real estate content. Top of funnel content best is at 2.9 million, some breaking 100K. Lots of 10K are worried that it's not niche enough to bring in people for a high ticket service. Do we do a CTA for a high ticket service? In the top of funnel stuff, your proposed solution is I think we can bring in recognition with brand awareness, some bottom of funnel content that does much better on TikTok, and maybe focus on ads with my face to bring in leads for higher ticket. Yeah, I think ads for higher ticket is way easier. It's much more predictable, especially if you do already have some videos at 2.9 million views, 100,000 views. It just doesn't sound like you're struggling with top of funnel. Like that's pretty good distribution. I think you're more so struggling with bottom of funnel, which ads will help you accomplish that because every ad that you make is a direct pitch. Like you're really hitting bottom of funnel. You've done great to get your foot in the door with those people and to be aware, to make people aware of you on those platforms. I think bottom of funnel with ads is going to be it. Tell me about what ads you're running right now and kind of what that budget looks like, what your marketing team or what your marketing person is forecasting.
Yeah, so we haven't really got that far yet because we're still building out the whole thing. So I was just trying to figure out like if we build excitement on social media first before we start running ads for it, or even just like some sort of build up, or if it's just like people are gonna start recognizing my face and in the social or in the real estate space, and then we start running ads and they're like, oh, here's that dude that I've been seeing all over Instagram type of thing, and then it's that trust build up.
Yeah. What's your price point for the done for you service?
We're going back and forth on it. I think our like highest ticket would probably be 25K, and then our like average would probably be at like 10. It's just basically going to be like pitching to investors that typically pay that already to purchase a property, and we would just be asking that up front to do similar work.
And is that over a sales call or a webinar or something like that?
Yeah, we're thinking, I've talked to Nico and Blake about on like how we'll go about with that. We're thinking like an ad to either a VSL to a webinar or just an ad to a VSL to a demo, or even just like an ad to a demo. I think that he was saying that you guys have been testing things without VSLs and stuff. So I think our big thing is figuring out exactly, we want to grab some clientele so we can build out a really good product before we start just like assuming the problems that we think. I think it was one of your YouTube videos that came out where you were talking about like you thought that coaches needed a certain problem, like you thought they needed views or something, and then you found out it's like they actually needed this instead. So I think we know what the problem is, and then we want clientele to come in to actually diagnose what the real issue is and then kind of tailor our product around that.
Yeah, great awareness. And I love that strategy of building around your audience instead of trying to hypothesize what it is and then potentially risking building in the wrong direction. Good for you on that. I strongly agree. I think the way to do that is to charge a lower price first for your offer and then slowly increase it as you fill demand. So some
Okay.
people recommend just doing it for free. I think it's kind of silly to give it away for free because then you're not getting a real temp check from the people that actually would part ways with their money for this thing. And you're potentially just building something that you could give out for free, which you give out a lot of stuff for free. I think charging people for the experience or charging people for the knowledge at any stage, even exploratory, is useful as proof of concept. What I did for my first client ever is I told him what the price was, so we can process right now. Made him pull out his credit card. It was a $24,000 thing. And then once he pulled out his credit card, I was like, actually, I'll give it to you for free. But he had his card out, like he was ready to read me the numbers. I knew that I would make the sale. That was proof of concept to me that like my pricing worked, the offer worked, but I wanted him in for free so that I could actually take him through the process and make a whole bunch of mistakes and not worry about like ruining, my first client. That being said, you could always increase the price later. So if you start low to get some people through the door to be able to build a product around them, I think that you'll get great case studies, great testimonials from those people, and then be able to raise the price higher to kind of increase friction in the funnel. Talking about the funnel, I don't think that you're going to be wrong doing a VSL or no VSL. You just have to understand like what you're sending them to and understand the unit economics of that. So if you're sending them to a call funnel, the unit economics of a single lead and how many leads you need to get a conversion are going to be far different than if you're doing a webinar or some kind of live group selling. When you're selling one-to-one, you can customize the marketing a lot better, so you'll have better conversions. So you need less leads. So you can pay more for a lead if you're doing a sales call. If you're doing a webinar, you're going to get lower total conversions as a percentage. The gross number is going to be lower. So you're going to need more leads and you're going to need them cheaper, and you're probably not going to be able to sell as high as ticket because the marketing isn't as customized. You're just selling to a group of people instead of an individual and being able to meet all of their needs. So understanding the unit economics of both and making a decision either way and just like catering your entire marketing process around one of those two is going to be the goal. That's an exploratory process. Either way, you're going to get more clarity by getting started on either one of those than trying to figure out the perfect one. And honestly, for your offer, your price point, I would probably go one-on-one sales call. That being said, because it's a one-on-one sales call and because it's largely transactional, meaning you don't have multiple week or multiple month-long sales cycles on any individual purchaser, I don't think you should hype it up organically and then make a push to sell. I think the hype and the push to sell is all going to happen within multiple days of every single prospect. At least that's what we noticed with our B2B marketing company, which I understand is different. But usually like when a lead comes in, they end up making a purchasing decision within 72 hours. So 72 hours or less. So if we were to do a massive campaign, hype it for weeks, and then eventually sell it, what would actually likely happen based on our like consumer preferences right now is that they would be really hyped about it. We would accomplish that. I'm sure we could with enough views, but then they would forget about it or they would cool off before the purchasing decision actually happens. And what you'd rather do is understand kind of what that sales cycle looks like for your industry, for your product, for your service, for your customer, and just naturally match that. So if you understand that your sales cycle is roughly 48 hours or roughly 72 hours, how much marketing material could you realistically send out to them that isn't annoying within that 48 hours or within the 72 hours? But I'm just saying, based on my experience of your industry and understanding kind of the price point you're at, especially if it's a single call close, I don't think that you're going to get much benefit through an extended like hype process that happens through organic social media. I think what's more likely going to happen, especially with a sophisticated audience like the one that you're selling to, is they will look at your social media after booking a call just to see if you're legit, see that you're saying some smart stuff and be like, oh yeah, this guy seems like he knows what he's doing. I'm going to take this call seriously. And they're going to make a purchasing decision within 48 hours, regardless of how hyped they've been beforehand.
Okay. I think that kind of, I don't know, maybe it answers my next question, because then the top of funnel content, right? Like it's just more so reaction content to viral real estate videos, right? And it's nice. Like I'm probably going to break 3 million views on that one today. And it's like cool to see that on a screen. But like, I do agree with you in a sense of like, okay, I just broke 12,000 followers. We're doing really good on views. We're doing all different types of stuff, right? But I go, what does that even mean in the sense of like having a high ticket product? I mean, it helps with the low ticket stuff, you know, like our little softwares and things like that. Sure, like we get signups or whatever. But for high ticket, you know, seeing all of that is just kind of like, am I wasting my time with top of funnel content? You know, it's like, it's cool to be like, cool, this did great. But at the same time, I'm like, this isn't doing anything. You know, I guess I'm not hung up if I'm slowly becoming like a real estate influencer, if you will. But like,
Yeah.
At some point, I don't, you know, if it doesn't convert, like, what's the point?
I totally understand where you're coming from. I think what you're experiencing is because it's difficult to measure, you're equating the influence it has to basically being zero. I think that's a mistake. And I think recognizing that organic traffic is difficult to measure and the conversions that come from organic, or the conversions that are more so influenced by organic, are difficult to measure, is an inherent problem to the system. It doesn't make it worthwhile though, or it doesn't make it worthless though. And internally, our marketing team pays attention to how many views we get on the meta platforms, so Facebook and Instagram, specifically related to the efficiency of our ad spend that month. So you could think of it as like, what is the ROAS and what is the total reach that Daniel's organic stuff got this month? And we'll compare those two numbers. And we notice they move in lockstep. So like on months that I get 10 million plus views, our ROAS will improve. So we'll get more efficient with our marketing, our costs will go down. And it's a small percentage, it's like 5, 10%, but it's noticeable. And whenever I get less views organically on social media, specifically on the meta platforms, which is where we advertise, irrespective of YouTube, but like when we get less organic views, our ads get more expensive to run. And the hypothesis that we have over, you know, literally tens of thousands of dollars per day in ad spend, because we're running about 800,000 a month in meta ads right now, is that the organic views make the paid views cheaper to get. Because if they watch my organic stuff, it shows Meta that this viewer is interested in this topic, this personality, what this person has to say. And so running the ad to them makes more sense to Meta. It's a cheaper distribution than it would be to a brand new person who's never seen me before, who may or may not like me. You know, then it's kind of a toss-up. It's like, oh, I don't know if I want to feed this ad to this audience member who has never seen this person before, versus if I'm a proven entity to an audience member, if they've seen my top of funnel stuff, if they watched my video in full before, there's a higher likelihood that they're going to react positively to this ad. So let's feed them the ad. It will decrease your costs. It is difficult to measure. But if you are running ads, that is actually my like greatest recommendation, is if you can make top of funnel content that's relevant, maybe middle of funnel content as well, like that is going to be the biggest thing that you can do to decrease your ad costs month over month. In addition to just making more new ads, it's not going to be any of the fancy stuff that you do optimizing your funnel or like making sure that the ad placement is correct. Like mostly Andromeda, the Facebook update that came out, it's the biggest Facebook update in the last few years, came out in July and it's like fully implemented now. A lot of people saw it impact their September numbers. That's what is largely influencing the change in efficiency in data. And they're really leaning into content creators who are really good at organic because it's just cheaper. Because if they already know you from organic content, running an ad for you is going to be so easy.
Daniel, I feel that based on what you just said and what I've heard in this call, I feel that I can warm it up. Like, at least in my business account, I can start teaching people stuff. I'm asking, like, should I? Or should I just literally wait until I get my stuff done and my framework done and then start to, give it away?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever too early to start building up your brand. Like, I think the longer you have, the more successful you will be when you launch a product. I think the advice that I gave to RJ was like, should you start hyping up a product launch when you know your sales cycle is super short? I don't think so. I think if you know you got a short sales cycle, wait to hype your product until you're ready to sell it. It's kind of like asking for money before you have the credit card reader out. It's like you wouldn't want to be like, hey, raise your hand if you're ready to pay me right now, and then have no ability to collect on their money. I wouldn't want you to lead with that. But as far as like building trust, making them problem aware, solution aware, letting them know that you're the expert in the space, I mean, the longer you can have to do that, the more successful you will be when you do eventually launch your product. I would start building up that confidence with your audience as soon as possible.
I have two problems with that, Daniel. First, I'm attracting people and conversations, but I have nothing to sell yet. But I'm helping
Yeah.
them, right? Those
Yeah.
are photographers asking me, dude, how do you fix that, right? And I'm just telling them. And second, it's not on my personal account, it's on the business account. So I'm confused. Like, should I open the second account again and post in both? Or should I just focus in one, as you previously told me, and then change it to my personal, like kind of thing?
I would probably post on the business account if that's where you're getting the traction. I think that that'll just roll the success over as you go. And then if you really have to charge someone, like if you're just getting so many questions and you can't use them to make more content, ideally that's the first stage, is like you use all the questions they have in the comment section to inform the new content that you're making, because then you can like solve their problems with more content and help everyone. That's the goal. But if they have really specific stuff, if the only answer is coaching, you can always charge for your time. You can always say, hey, I'm happy to give you like a 30-minute consult, hour-long consult. Here's my hourly rate. And then, you know, put together a link for payment just via Calendly or Stripe or something like that. Like you could charge them for an hour. And they could be the ones that ask questions that inform like your paid program when you do eventually launch the program. I'm strongly against waiting to collect any money before you have a full program built out. But at the same time, I'm really strongly against trying to sell something when you haven't established yourself as an expert or like don't have an audience to sell to.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you that I'm just probably just solving things by chat. They are DMing me. They start on with a, you know, a comment or whatever, but then they DM me. Let's say coaching them on the chat. So
Yeah.
at which point I say like, and obviously I'm not like an experienced coach, right? I haven't coached anyone in photography rather than my employees. So at some point, should I use this as like a testing ground for me to get like warm up in the wording and everything? Or should I just start saying, yeah, 30 minutes, whatever?
You know, I think it depends on your comfort level. If you know what kind of common questions you get on those DMs, then you would know what kind of course material to build out. If you're less confident, maybe you could start charging for some of those and just say, hey, by the way, this is going to inform a course that I build out later for other people. So feel free to ask me as many questions as you want. I'll answer them in as much detail as possible. Another thing that I'm doing right now is like answering your guys' questions. Like the questions that you ask in these kinds of, you know, Q&A formats inform content that I make in the future. Like I think we're recording this right now, potentially to be clipped up, but then also deeper questions that I ask, that Corson has asked, that Xander has asked, that other people in this community have asked me, have gone into full length, you know, 15, 20-minute explainer videos where instead of just telling, you know, the answer as to how I would approach the problem, I would list out all the decision-making criteria to where it can broadly apply to everyone. And that's the core for my content.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks, man. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Cool. If anyone has any other thoughts, just throughout the week, if something comes up later, I am excited to be here for y'all. And I will see you all next week, if not sooner, in the school community, dropping a question there.